We should be good, April.
Okay. All right. I would like to welcome everyone to our Pendleton County Board of Trustees meeting for the Pendleton County Public Library for September 21st, 2020. It is 6:30 my time. Do we have anything to add to our agenda?
No.
Okay. All right. Are there any corrections needed for the approval of the minutes from August 17th?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. The minutes are approved as written. All right. Let's move on to our reports. Will we please have the treasurer's report?
So our starting balance on July 31st, sorry, was $1,465,097. Our income for the month was $71,148. Our expenses for the month were $64,480, leaving us with an ending balance on August 31st of $1,471,765.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the August check register and the financial report?
I'll motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Thank you. All right. We have our heritage CD.
Okay. So we have one CD that is actually maturing today. So this CD is, let's see. This CD is a little over $74,000. I spoke with Chip Sutherland with Bard today just to kind of get his advice on what we might want to do, because interest rates are extremely low right now. He recommended that we either move the money into a new CD at 182 days, which is 4% interest, at least at today's rates with Heritage. Or we could move it into a new CD at 36 months, which would be 8% interest. If we let it renew, and it would be at 60 months for 0.8% interest. So either 0.4% interest for 6 months, or 0.8% interest for 3 years, is kind of the choices that you will have.
Who told you that? Because I checked on CDs at Heritage and they gave me the 0.808%, but I only had to do it for 13 months. Unless you want to do it longer.
Right.
Because he told me he wouldn't do it any longer just in case rates go up. But, you know, it don't look like it now, but just in case, you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
And I talked to Darren Hart is who I talked to up in Butler.
Okay, Butler, sure. Yeah, and our rates they're a little bit lower than the public rate, just because it's public funds, and with the amount of money that we have in the CDs, they have to basically insure that money so that if the bank goes under, we don't lose our money. So our rates are a little bit lower than what they can offer the public.
Okay.
So do we want to go with a shorter term, just to see if interest rates will rise, or we could go with the 0.8 at 3 years. That's the highest interest rate that we have available.
I say go with the
I don't
short.
really,
I say the short term's the deal right now, and then we could sit and wait. 3 years is pretty much putting us waiting too long, so gives us opportunity to change again.
Right.
Was there another discussion?
I agree with the short term.
I'll motion short term.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right. So Melissa, you will probably do this better for the terminology. Do you want to read what it would say for us for minute purposes?
Yeah, so it would be a motion for the funds in the Heritage Bank CD number 895686 to be moved into a new CD at 182 days at Heritage Bank, and that Melissa Bird, Director, and Stacy Meyer, Treasurer, would have the authority to redeem and set up certificates of deposit for the Pendleton County Public Library and have access to account information along with Dennis Moneyhun, PCPL accountant.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, are we ready to move on to the librarian's report, please?
All right. So our stats, of course, they're still down. Not quite as bad as what I expected actually for circulation. We were down 43%, so a little bit less than half. Our patron count was down 61%. Just to highlight some of the programs. So Fran did a virtual program, a community tour of Callensville, Roanoke, Gumlick, and Orange Grove. We had 378 people watch that program. So I was highly impressed with that. Another thing, we do have Lisa Beach with GED Connection coming back. So she's being able to assist kind of more on a one-on-one basis with people looking to get their GED.
Melissa, where's Lisa Beach from?
Is she from Gateway, Kelly?
Yeah, she's connected with Gateway, but I think she's actually out of the Skills, Kentucky Youth Skills out of Grant County.
Mm.
Okay. My wife used to work with her.
For September programs, Fran's doing a couple more virtual programs on family stories. We are continuing the activity kits. Those have been very successful. And then also September is library card sign up month. So we're doing a thing if someone brings a friend in to get a library card, they'll get $5 in library bucks. So that's just for some free materials from our book sale. Let's see, for maintenance, we had Better Than a Brick come back to check the door again. We've had kind of some issues working with them. So last we had Jeff Brinkman at Tri-State Locksmith come and repair the front door. So apparently the locking mechanism that they put in the door when the building was built is designed to where it can be connected to electric and have a flip switched. It's never been connected that way. And so it's a hex key dogging lock. And that has been very, very much an issue for staff ever since we've moved into the current library. So he's supposed to be sending me a quote for maybe changing out that lock. So we can make it a little bit easier for staff to be able to get the door locked and unlocked. Marshall's replaced the glow plugs, flushed the radiator, and changed the coolant out on the bookmobile. And then DeBra Kemple has finally, knock on wood, fixed all of the repairs needed for the HVAC system. I checked with them to see if there was anything that we might need to do to improve the ventilation in the library, and in regards to, to COVID and virus particles. They did say that currently we have fresh air going to each unit, and we're using the MERV 8 filters. So that meets code requirements. But they did say if we wanted to take some additional steps, we could switch to MERV 13 filters. That would cost an additional $573 annually on our service contract. The other thing that they suggested is a GPS ionization system, which sounds really cool. The way it's supposed to work is it basically sends out positive and negative ions that attach to virus particles, dust particles, any kind of particles. But it will essentially kill any kind of pathogens and virus particles. Um, the original ionization systems, apparently they gave off ozone, but these don't. They are still fairly new, so there's really not a lot of information about what health impacts they might have. So I might be a little bit, leery with going with that. Plus, the cost is $7,000, $7,480 to get one of these units placed on all 10 of our HVAC units. So I kind of want to get your all's opinion on what you think we might want to do with that. Do we want to leave things as they are since they are to code, switch to the MERV 13 filters, or consider going with the ionization system?
I would
When will
say,
those,
go ahead, Dave.
when will those filters have to be changed? Did you just put them in, the ones that are at code?
We've had the MERV 8 filters since we moved into the building. If we switch
But what
to,
I'm saying is, did they just replace them with their maintenance and that, or are they still the original?
they replace them every 4 months.
Okay.
Sorry, every 3 months. They replace them quarterly. So I think it's been 2 months since they replaced them last.
Have you had any issues or anything? Anybody that's complained or anything
No,
about, the quality of the air or anything?
no.
And since they're code, I think we could just stay the same. But I mean, if other people would like to change them, that's fine.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we should stay the same. The ionization system's been around. It's a newer one, but the older ones is more used for like if you have a smell and you're like if you have a smoker or you have a lot of pets, they use them to clean the odor up into your a lot more like that way than they do now. So I really believe that's just something that we really don't have to spend a lot of money for because we really don't have an odor in the library. We don't have mildew. We don't have things growing in the corner of the library. So I believe we should pretty much stay the same. It's up to, we're up to code and that's all that really matters.
Unless anybody has anything else to add, I'll go ahead and move on then. All right, for professional activities, I've still been attending the virtual directors meetings and the Community Wellness Coalition meetings, and Tanya's still been attending the virtual youth meetings. Tanya has started library administration as her final class for certification. and Trish began library technical services. So that's her second class for certification. We hired Rebecca Best as our new page, and she began training on August 28th. And then I submitted the tax rates and presented at the fiscal court meeting on August 25th. I did include in the packet what I gave all of the fiscal court members. They did want to extend their thanks to you all for considering the community's needs and current situation and not changing our tax rates.
Okay, do we have anything for the regional librarian report?
Basically it is it gives some upcoming educational opportunities. Tanya's going to be attending the Youth Services Conference. Sandy's going to attend the Bookmobile and Outreach Conference. And then KLA is going to be virtual this year. So they're only charging like $10 to attend, which is extremely low. But they do have a trustee day, if any of you are interested in that. And then it also, there's information on the Realm projects. They did release their newest study that looked at hardcovers, DVDs, paperbacks, and a couple other items in a stack configuration. So that's what we use at the library, is a stack configuration. And they found that the virus did last on those items over 6 days. So we did increase our quarantine time to 7 days. But we did also, we worked out a way to be able to check those items in when they first come in instead of waiting that quarantine time before we check them in. So hopefully that'll help make things a little bit easier for our patrons.
Okay, we'll move on to our old business update. Do we have any updates on the sale of our Highway 27 property?
I have no updates.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the refinancing of our bonds.
So pretty much what we want to do is determine if we want to go ahead and refinance our bonds now, or if we want to wait a year. So I had a follow-up conversation with Chip after we met last month, and the way I understand it, and so my recommendation would be to wait. The reason for that is, one, we could go ahead and refinance now, and we're going to save a significant amount of money. Or we could wait a year, and if interest rates don't go up, we would save a significantly more amount of money. If interest rates go up, we wouldn't be able to refinance. We wouldn't be able to save that money, but the economy would be doing better. So we'd be getting higher rates on like our CDs. It would impact tax revenue because our economy is doing better. So kind of the way he had put it was, we're doing financially well right now. If we never see these savings, it's not going to hurt us. If we go ahead and refinance now and interest rates stay the same, then we're essentially losing that amount of savings. But we wouldn't have the option to refinance again for 7 years. So I'll let you all discuss and decide how you'd like to proceed with that.
My side is on Chip's side of, we pay him for his advice, so we should take his advice and use his knowledge for what we pay for. So I agree with him on waiting.
Waiting sounds good to me too.
Okay, well then, do we have a motion to wait on refinancing?
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
go
make a motion.
I'll do a second then.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor
However,
say aye.
however you want to write it down, it doesn't
Aye.
matter.
It's the Dave and Mike show going on.
Well, thank you for your participation.
Yep.
All right, I'm not sure how to reword that. So do you want to reword it for our minutes purposes, please?
Um,
What?
so it would be Dave made a motion that we wait to refinance our bonds. Let's see, I guess it would be until, I would just say probably until further notice.
Okay.
That way, whether it's a year from now, when they are, we can get the taxable refinancing, or if Chip comes back at some point, we can just revisit it then. So I would say to wait until further notice.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to our hours and the results of our survey, please.
All right. So we had 300 people complete our survey. For the most part, most people think that we are making the right decisions in response to the pandemic. Most comments were positive in nature. There were a couple that were, upset with masks and things like that, and thought we were being too cautious. But for the most part, everybody thought we were doing fairly well. I did, in addition to hours, just to kind of gauge how people thought we were doing, I asked some other questions. So I asked about drive-through service. And so one of the things that is reoccurring through all of this is that people don't know what we offer. A lot of people who hadn't used the drive-through said they didn't know about it. Of course, a lot said they just preferred to browse inside the library. But that's kind of a reoccurring trend through all of this. With the programs and online resources, especially our online resources, 50% hadn't used them because they didn't know about them, or they didn't know how to use them. When asked how we might be able to help our community during the pandemic, the vast majority of responses were simply just positive. Thanks for all you do. You're doing a great job. There's nothing more needed. The next highest was normalcy, people just wanting things to go back to normal. And I wish we could make it all go away and get the kids back in school like they asked, but next was marketing. We did have some people, say just getting the word out more, and several asked for services that we were already offering. Sorry. And then you can see it kind of goes down from there. Several made comments on hours. Let's see, the next page is just demographics, just to kind of give an idea of who answered our survey. Not surprisingly, most people were from Falmouth. Next would be Butler, and so on. About A little over half were families. Um, at least with one person at least under 18. Um, so on hours, um, we had 15% requested additional hours in the morning, Monday through Thursday. 12% requested additional hours in the evening on Friday. The majority requested additional Sunday hours. Well, the majority said, none, I'm fine. I'm able to do what I need during the hours that you currently have. But the next highest was Sunday hours. So I included a couple updated day hour heat maps. And so you can kind of see this first one is August 14th through September 18th. And again, we've got a lot of those darker shades at the 11 o'clock hour, Monday through Thursday. So that kind of indicates that, yeah, maybe we need to increase our morning hours a little bit. On the other side of that, the 6 to 7 timeframe, we have a lot less people in the library. I think it was Stacy maybe last month had suggested that we not necessarily add morning hours, but maybe shift them to where they start a little bit earlier. So I would recommend shifting Monday through Thursday hours from 11 to 7 currently to 10 to 6. I also would recommend adding Sunday hours. If you look at the next two charts, one shows the same time frame last year, and the other one shows September through December last year. So that's the time frame that we're working in now. And both of those, Sunday is one of our heaviest days for the number of people coming into the library. And there are, there are some people who simply can't make it in any day other than Sunday because of work schedules. So my suggestion would be to shift the Monday through Thursday hours, add Sunday hours, and to do that starting in October. But the decision on whether or not to change hours is up to you all. So that's my
Would
recommendation.
the Friday and Saturday hours stay the same? I'm sorry, Melissa.
That's kind of what I was thinking for now. Yeah, that they would stay 9 to 5.
Okay, that's fine.
What was the Sunday hours? I didn't get it pulled up on my computer.
Sorry. Sunday hours would be 1 to 5. So that would just be going back to our normal Sunday hours.
That's yeah. As long as the morning was,
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, that's good to me.
Okay.
We need to vote again, me and Dave. Shirley could jump in. It's Shirley's turn to jump in.
I mean, I think do exactly what Melissa has suggested, on the hours for starting in October. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have a formal motion then. Do I have a motion to proceed with the hours as Melissa has presented them?
I make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
I'll third it. Fourth it.
Okay.
We'll wrap it up.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye, and aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our new business. We have a policy review.
All right. So since this is 2020 and we may end up with a blizzard in October, I thought it might be a good idea to go ahead and review our emergency closing policy. The only thing in this that really has changed is under compensation. Because we have added PTO for part-time staff. So that would be including that. So then it would say employees who are scheduled off or who are previously arranged comp time, vacation time, PTO, or sick leave wouldn't receive extra compensation. So typically, if we close the library for something like weather, staff go ahead and they get paid for their regular hours that they would have worked that day. The last time that we reviewed this policy, the board requested that I ask basically for volunteers who would be willing to come in and work if the weather's bad. The thought was it would be better for the patrons who need us, whether they're needing to use our services or just need a warm place to stay because they don't have that at home. It would be better to keep the library open with a limited staff than to close completely. So during our last full-time staff meeting, some of the staff asked if the board might revisit that because they felt that that was unfair to those living in town, that those living in town would be expected to come in even if people living further out in the county can't. And the flip side of that, if people in town can come in, then the people further out are forced to either make up that time or use leave time. Another request was if staff were unable to make it in due to bad weather when the library was open, that instead of having to make up the time or use accumulated leave, they would have the option to simply not be paid for that time. My opinion on that is that unpaid leave should be kind of a last resort. One, it requires a whole lot more reporting when it comes to like retirement because you've got to fill out a form for every instant of that. On whether it's fair if two people who live close or who do or don't live close, whether it's fair if we open because at least two people can make it in. I mean, that's a little bit subjective. So at that point, I would throw that over to you all to see if you want to keep going with our current practice of if at least two people can make it in, we open, or if you think it would be better to be to go with the majority of staff, whether or not they're able to make it in.
Melissa, did you say that if the library has to close, they still get paid?
Yes.
Okay, now you don't have to take this, but would it help, do you think, would it help if there is really bad weather, that if you could ask for volunteers and the ones that live closer, but could they get some, excuse me, extra compensation for doing that? I'm not saying how much or anything, you know, that's not for me to say, but I mean, would that help? Or if that don't work, then I would say we just have to close in, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to put anybody's life in danger coming down 27, going up all these hills and everything, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm really not sure if what we would be allowed to do as far as compensation goes. I'd have to look into that and get back to you all.
I
That's
would,
fine. I didn't.
I feel
Go
that,
ahead, Mike.
no, I feel I'm with Dave on the part of not risking people to come in if it's that bad. Melissa, I don't know how many days you closed last year. I mean, it could have, was it a lot? Was it one, two? I mean, it was a majority.
I don't think we closed at all last year due to weather because we really didn't have a whole lot of bad weather. And kind of, so if we have, you know, what would be maybe like a nuisance snow, so less than 2 inches, kind of the rule of thumb with that is it should, for the most part, be okay for everybody to make it in. Some people might be a little bit delayed, but for the most part, 2 inches, that's really just more of a nuisance thing. If it's, you know, half a foot or more, then yeah, across the board, we probably just need to close. That's too much snow. But it's kind of that in between amount, I guess, is where uh, is where volunteers were requested before.
I'm gonna say that I'll definitely say shut down on bad days, pay the employees. If it's required for a place that people get warm, there's Dollar General. There's so many other places in that area that people can go get warm if they had to, not just the library, right? So it's definitely, I would just say, close down, you know, and pay the employees, because it really, when it comes to fairness, it really isn't right to say, oh, you live close to the library, so you have to come in, even if it's your day off or you have something scheduled, but we need you here just for 3 or 4 people may come in that day to do something in the library. So I'm with just shutting down and paying employees.
And I agree with that also.
All right.
Okay. So Melissa, do we need to make a motion then?
We will need to make a motion to accept the policy as presented.
Okay.
So that's really just adding that PTO and that last line. The rest of the discussion was more procedure, so that can go into the minutes as discussed, but you don't have to make a motion on that. Just
Okay.
the revision of the policy.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I'll start. Go ahead, Mike.
April 2nd.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. All right, let's move on to our donations.
All right. So a little bit of good news for once. A lot of good news, actually. We had a very generous donation of $14,000. This person wishes to remain anonymous, so I'm not saying who donated it. But it was to make up for the lack of state aid this year. This person called me up, asked how much we usually get if we lost any of that. I said, yeah, we lost it all. And she rounded up. So God love her. So the intention of the donation is to make up for the loss of state aid. So we can handle it a couple different ways. We can just say, well, that's less that we're going to have to spend from our reserves. However, there are a lot of projects, I think, that would be greatly beneficial to the library and to the community that we could use this money for. One being extending Wi-Fi to our entire parking lot. I've actually already told them okay on that. So if y'all don't approve this, I'll find somewhere to take that money from. But and then some maintenance things, so like the locking mechanism on the front door, some display shelves for our newish materials, video and audio recording equipment, for the creation of virtual programs and oral histories. Oral histories is something that Fran's been working on, trying to get that going. We could use some of the money to go ahead and complete the project to switch out all of the lights to LED, which in the long run, that's going to save us money and energy on our electric bill. It might be possible to add some more hotspots or laptops for lending. We've got a couple grants that we're pursuing right now for that. So I would maybe hold off on saying, yeah, let's spend this money on that. There's a couple things that actually didn't make it onto this list, but some equipment for doing drive-in movie showings. That way we can have something, in person, but that still keeps everybody socially distant. And also we're looking at, so when somebody gets a library card, they fill out the library card application, and we store those in a file cabinet. It's kind of a privacy issue that we're storing them in a physical format at all. So we're working with Evolve to see if we can get them stored electronically on like the actual patron card. But that would require some equipment, either a scanner or like an electronic signature pad, are a couple options that we're looking into. And then another option would be possibly adding doors between the circulation and the staff work area. We discussed that before, and so I've been working on getting an idea of what that might cost. So I talked to Jeff Pearson, who was the architect for our current building, to try and figure out some options. This one, it may be pricey, it may be difficult, because these doors were designed specifically to where they weren't to have doors put into them. So these are kind of some of the ideas that we would like to pursue with this money. And just depending upon how you all would like to proceed, I can present a proposed amended budget at next month's meeting. Unless you just want to, say this makes up for some of the money that we don't have to spend in reserves. That's the alternative option.
I like all your ideas, and I think when someone donates money, they like to see it being used. I don't care where you donate it at. It's a good charity to donate, and thank you for that donation. And we can always go back to them and say, this is where we used it at, and then you can see the improvements in the library. And I'd be excited to see a lot of those things at the library, especially Wi-Fi in the parking lot. I mean, that helps everyone out. I would like to. One thing I like to see is when you come in the lobby where you had the old magazines and stuff that's always piled up and people donate. I like to see something more uniformed where people have to dig through piles of magazines, because I do enjoy going to the magazines, but I feel like I dig through them and have to throw them everywhere to get to them. So maybe something there too. But yeah, it's
Okay.
I agree with Mike.
Yeah, I agree. It needs to be something visible, that people notice, when they come in the library.
is there a way to work with high school students in the art program that could paint murals if we had room on walls that we can do, we could pay for the paint. I mean, something like that to where, I don't know if we have room for it or not in the library, but things like that where it's community driven. It's like that's there for a while. And I just feel like that's something that is community driven as a library to get students like that involved. That's just something just bringing up to you guys later on. But
Great. I don't know, that might be something cool to do back in our teen area.
yeah.
Mhm.
And use the money for a paint product, whatever we need to paint or brushes, and they just apply the time. Because I know a lot of art classes like to reach out and do those kind of community outreaches.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll present a proposed amended budget at next month's meeting to hopefully get some of these projects going then.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the
Sounds
annual.
good.
Right. So I gave you all a copy of the annual report that I submitted. It's all information that you all have already seen, like in the end of fiscal year circulation reports and financial reports. So I just need a motion to accept the report as presented. I'd be happy to answer any questions though, if you have any.
If we don't have any discussion, do we have a motion?
A motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Now let's move on to the request to change the regular meeting time, please.
Right.
That is me, Dave.
Yep.
I'm just asking if we can we can keep it on a Monday. If we can just put it on a different Monday of the month, like the 1st, the 2nd, or the 4th. I'd just like to get into this, that I used to be into this church organization at my church, and theirs meeting time is the same as this, the 3rd Monday. And they got a lot more people to ask to change, and I just thought I'd try here. If it has a big problem with anybody, that's fine, because I don't want to get off of this board. I just want to stay here, but I just thought I'd throw it out there if you could do it.
Dave, what time does your organization meet on Monday?
6:30, same dang time.
6:30?
Well, I'm sorry, and I may have this completely wrong, but is it better we need to have it at the same time of the month, like the 3rd, so that we have time to get everything, all the reports done? And then if we have to reschedule, we have an option. So we need it to be basically the 3rd week, but we don't have to necessarily do it on a Monday.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right. That would be keeping with the 3rd week would be more ideal. Yes.
okay.
If we met earlier than 6:30, would that help the situation? Like maybe say at 5 o'clock?
I won't be able to meet
That's
if
fine.
You can't meet at 5.
I
Okay.
just working bus and stuff. I usually don't get home till almost off now because I'm not working. But I mean, if we move it to a different day of the week, that's fine too. I know the school board's always on the same time we do. It's kind of like every meeting's kind of the same time, but
Well, I'm available Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, but I have another board that I meet with on Fridays, so I couldn't do Fridays.
I cannot meet on Wednesday because I have church on Wednesday.
I'm on Wednesday church too, so Tuesday
Okay.
sounds.
What about Tuesday? Is everyone basically free on Tuesdays?
I work Tuesdays at the library.
I think we can work that out, Kelly.
Okay, just making sure.
What about Thursday?
I'm fine with Thursday.
That seemed to
Tuesday or
be,
Thursday's fine with me.
so it'd be the 3rd Thursday instead of the 3rd Monday
Mhm.
Okay.
at 6:30.
Mike, does that work for you as well?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Now, I know that Stacy's not present tonight, so do we
And-
want to ask her before we?
I did.
Well,
When
okay.
she sent me the text saying that she wouldn't be able to make it, I asked her what days, times might work for her. She said day of the week really doesn't matter for her. She's open any day.
Okay.
And then her only request was to keep it in the evenings. So we've met that.
All right. Well, then we'll just go ahead and proceed with the motion then to change it to the 3rd Thursday of the month, meeting at 6:30. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 right. Thank you. All right, so forgive me, I don't have my calendar in front of me. So our next meeting will be in October, but it won't be the schedule that's what's listed, correct?
Right. So the third Thursday in October is the 15th.
Okay. All right, then we will have our next meeting scheduled for October 15th, 2020 at 6:30. And then.
I'm sorry. Who seconded that motion?
Dave.
I did.
Dave. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I apologize. I may have cut him off.
So are we still on Zoom next month?
Yeah.
Next month?
Okay. All right. Do we have anything else that we've missed, Melissa? Is that we
Not that I
covered?
have. No.
Thanks everyone for that.
Hey, Melissa, can I request just going paperless on the report, like you just emailed to me? I don't need the paper to come. I don't ever, my mail somehow doesn't get here on time anyway, so I never have it. So
Okay.
I'm just fine with paperless.
Let me check on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's like a legal requirement that I mail out paper. I know for special meetings, like everybody signs the form saying that it can be sent electronically. I'm not sure if that's okay for a regular meeting. If it is, I can do that.
Okay. I just thought I'd save you like from printing it out and mailing it because, like I said, I live on I guess the county where I live. I have a California address, and it seems like the packet never makes it here.
Well, mine didn't make it this month either. So, you know, I
Yeah, I
Got
didn't
it
get it
online.
either.
yeah. So,
Okay. Yeah, I'll check on that. Would everybody would everyone prefer theirs electronically, or does everyone else still prefer paper?
Well, I don't
That's
mind.
fine electronically.
I'm fine with electronic.
I don't mind to have electronic, but I don't always have good service to get the emails. So if I could have the paper, but you don't have to mail it. If you'll just call me, I'll come pick it up from the library.
Okay.
And then we'll save on postage if that's not too much trouble.
Sure. No, that should be fine.
Okay.
And I'll just make sure that it's okay for me to send them out just electronically, and I'll do that for the October meeting then. I'll let you know though.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, I have it 7:24. Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So move.
You got a motion.
All right, a second. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we have a
Come on,
second?
Mike.
Yeah, go ahead. I thought Shirley said she did.
Yeah, I did make the motion. We
Okay,
need a
good.
second though.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
apologize. There's a
We're out of
delay.
here.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for attending the meeting. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you guys.
All right.